amazing is he just learned how to play last week. No, but actually, you're reading this like sight reading. You haven't been practicing these songs, have you? You've just been, we popped it right in front of him. He's been playing totally cold, so totally nice. Well, thank you all. Welcome once again to another episode of Those Thrilling Days of Yesteryear, a live recreation of some of your favorite shows from the golden age of radio. Well, if you can imagine, there was a time way back in history when women were not allowed to do the same things as men.
Right. That's right.
I know, kind of hard to believe. And that women would be told, well, you can't do this because you're a girl, and this is only what men do. And sometimes things don't change. But what's fascinating is that even in the 1940s, they were aware that some of these things didn't make sense. There was a show called Cavalcade of America, which did dramatizations of real events of history. And so in our shows that aired during the 1940s, they would depict things that happened during the Civil War and times of Lincoln and early days of technology, and also several episodes of wonderful, amazing, incredible women who just would not stop. No matter how many times they were told they can't because they're a girl, they said, I can. And so these are true stories of women back in the 1880s who followed their passion and who did what they felt was right to really make a difference. And what ended up happening was their actions pioneered the way for many other women for generations to follow. So we are very excited to tell these stories. The first of a young woman named Nellie Bly, who wanted to be a writer for the newspaper, but wasn't interested in just writing for the social column. She wanted to make a difference. And you'll see how she actually did. In fact, she even challenged a very popular fictional character and beat his record. You'll find out. And then there's a young girl named Maud Powell, who coincidentally grew up in Aurora, Illinois. And she was also told how to behave as a proper girl. But she didn't want to play that game. She wanted to learn how to play the violin, something that only boys did. But she persisted and stuck with it and became, well, you're going to find out, that she became something that changed and opened the doors for many women for years to come in the world of music as well. So, we will recreate these shows for you with sound effects, music, and, as you can imagine, some amazing violin music, as well as one guest already, definitely. And we'll recreate these for you as best we can as they aired on the airwaves many years ago. And while you are watching, you might imagine that you are sitting in the live audience watching their favorite performers do their thing. Or you might imagine that you're sitting in your own living room with a family huddled around the old Philco radio, anxiously waiting for your favorite show to begin. Either way, join us now as we take you back to those thrilling days of yesterday.
The life, loves, and laughter of one of America's most fascinating women, Nellie Bly. DuPont presents Agnes Moorehead as Nellie Bly in Nellie Was a Lady from the Cavalcade of America, sponsored by the DuPont Company, maker of better living through chemistry. Now, here is Dame Whitney.
Tonight we want to tell you about Speed Easy Wall Finish, one of DuPont's better things for better living for home decorators. DuPont Speed Easy is that wonderfully easy-to-use wall paint that quickly makes stained and shabby walls soft, rich, and beautiful. It's an oil-type paint, but you thin it with water and apply right over wallpaper, wallboard, or any interior wall surface. It is beautiful and long-lasting. 1 gallon does the average room in one color, and it costs less than $3. Speed Easy is what the name says. It's quick and it's easy. It's Speed Easy by DuPont.
The DuPont Company presents Nellie Was a Lady, starring Agnes Moorehead. Miss Moorhead is one of the stars of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer production, Our Vines Have Tender Grapes, the Cavalcade of America. 1885. The country is undergoing serious upsets. Women are coming out of the kitchen and invading fields hitherto considered sacred to the male of the species. One of these fields is the newspaper, and the spearhead of this invasion is a girl with big, soulful gray eyes, a manner determined, and the energy of a wildcat, Nellie Bly.
Nellie Bly, bring the brew along. We'll sweep the kitchen clean, my dear, and have a little song.
Taking her name from the popular song by Stephen Foster, Nellie has journalism by the throat and shakes him till it cries for mercy. Nellie will do anything for a story. Well, no, not anything. It's still the elegant 80s, and Nellie is always a lady.
No, indeed, sir. You may not invite me to dinner. I do not consider that going up in a balloon with you constitutes a proper introduction.
Nellie, oh Nellie, listen love to me.
It's the year 1888, and Nellie, fresh out of Pittsburgh, has just talked herself into a job out on the New York World.
Come in. Oh, what can I do for you, miss?
You're Mr. John Dale, aren't you? I wonder if you'd object if I moved in.
Moved in?
Yes, Mr. Pulitzer just told me that I've just been taken on as a reporter. And the other gentlemen, well, I'm afraid they don't like women reporters.
Well, we haven't had very many, Miss...
Bly. Nellie Bly, just like the song. If you wouldn't mind, that little desk over in the corner would suit me nicely. If you wouldn't mind.
I'm certainly not, Miss Bly. Anything I can do to help you, I'll introduce you to society.
No, that's not what I want, Mr. Dale. I didn't come to New York to write about cookery and valentines and society receptions.
But you can't hope to cover the police court, Miss Bly, or attend prize fights.
But why not, if I wanted to?
There must be other stories here in the city, Miss Bly. What about the hospitals, the charitable institutions? Surely those are places for a woman's sympathetic interest.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that. I shall have myself committed to an insane asylum.
What? But how, Miss Bly? How would you do that?
Oh, just you wait and see. And his heels a stone. I would give you violets, but they all withered when my father died.
Quiet, gentlemen! People are trying to slay Miss Bly, this is the landlord. Miss Bly, open this door. Open this door, I say.
Oh, Mr. Harrington, I hope I haven't disturbed you.
Rouse my entire boarding house, Miss Bly. One of my boarders has even called the police. Please be good enough to vacate your room in the morning.
Oh, well, I'm just preparing to write a story exposing the conditions in the home for the insane on Blackwell Island. Oh, poor things. It's said they're horribly mistreated.
Indeed.
Yes, I'm planning to feign insanity so that I can be committed and reveal the truth. Oh, you must help me, Mr. Harrington.
Well, I'll be glad to, Miss Bly. But pray, let us have no more disturbance.
Disturbance? No, I was only practicing with these speeches from Hamlet. I would give you violence!
Ah, yes, Ophelia.
Ophelia, yes.
Very affecting role. Miss Bly, I was on the stage myself for a number of years. And,
oh, no.
For the portrayal of madness, if you'll observe my rendition of the scene from Lear, my finest role.
Oh, yes, yes.
Blow, winds, and crack your cheeks. Rage, blow, you cataracts and hurricanos. Spout your...
Open in the name of the law!
Oh, dear Miss Bly, please. piece.
Oh, our success, Mr. Harrington. Remember, my name is Ophelia, though. I would give you violence.
What's the commotion here?
Oh, officer, this woman has gone stark raving mad, I tell you.
What?
Oh, reach me there.
Well, I'd better call the wagon.
Let me out! Let me out!
Quiet, I say! You button your mouth, my girl, or you'll get the cold water treatment and a few thumps on the head.
Matron, I insist that you take me to the superintendent. There is nothing whatever the matter with me, and I refuse to stay in this place another night.
Oh, listen to her now, Miss High and Mighty. Refuses to stay, she does.
Mrs. Cobb, you don't understand. I've been pretending. I'm a reporter for the New York World.
Oh, well, ain't that nice? Reporter, eh? Well, over in that cell is Napoleon's wife, and over here is Queen Elizabeth. Reporter. Well, why don't you write a little story?
Indeed, I will write a story. A story that will expose every bit of the graft and filth and brutality of this horrible place.
What are you talking
And do you know what, Mrs. Cobb? I'm going to write a special chapter about you.
Nellie Bly, voice and man, and clean up conditions on Blackwell Island. Extra.
Here, hold there, lady. Now, don't you see there's a sign there that says, keep off the grass?
Oh, yes, officer.
Yes.
But if I don't step on the grass, how can I pick the flowers?
Oh, pick the flowers. That ain't allowed now, madam.
Well, I am picking them. What do you intend to do?
Oh, well, I don't think that it would wreck City Hall if a pretty little lady like you were to take a few posies.
All right. I'll just pick that rock right there.
Hey, no, stop picking up that stuff. Don't you do it. Don't you do it now. Oh, well, that's that breaking a window, will ya? Well, if it's jail you want, that's just what you're going to get.
Nellie Bly in jail. Read about brutal treatment of women prisoners in city jail by today's world.
Well, Miss Bly, I must admit you cleaned up Blackwell's Island and the ladies' jail. Really, now,
And this week, John, I'm going to Albany to be a lobbyist.
Oh, no.
I intend to catch that arch briber and boodler, Mr. Jonas Walsh.
Nellie Bly goes to Albany. Bribery and graft ring in state capitol. Read all about it by today's world.
Miss Bly, Nellie, that was going too far, really. Associating with low, corrupt politicians.
I don't know what you mean, Mr. Dale. Jonas Walsh was a crook, to be sure, but aside from that, he was rather a sweet old man.
And that isn't all, Miss Nellie. My aunt tells me she saw you yesterday behind the counter at Watermaker's selling men's nightgowns.
Well, I was merely collecting material for my Sunday story, The Problems of a Shop Girl.
There's such a thing as going too far, even for a good story. You aren't a newspaper woman, you are a public menace.
Oh, indeed? Indeed. Well, if my presence is annoying, I beg to remind you that this is my office too.
I apologize most humbly, Miss Nellie. It's only that it wounds me that you do such things, because good heavens, Miss Nellie, why are you putting on that bonnet?
Salvation Army is starting on a new campaign for funds. I'm marching with them this evening, and do you know that they're letting me beat the drums?
I say there, are you there with that drum?
Yes? Yes, what is it?
I'm the butler of Mrs. Norton. She's giving her season's music hell right up there in the ballroom, and Mrs. Norton requests that you move on.
Oh, yes? Well, please ask Mrs. Norton if she'd mind stepping out for a moment. I'd like to speak with her personally.
Oh, stop that infernal noise! Oh, that's better. I'm Mrs. being the guest of my musicale.
Well, we'd be glad to move on, only we're launching our campaign for the new Bowery shelter. Perhaps you'd like to drop a little something on the drum, madam?
Oh, you won't get a penny from me. All those idle, shiftless people. If they can't take care of themselves, they're better off dead.
Oh, really, Mrs. Norton? May I quote you on that sentence?
You certainly may. Now, will you please go? You're ruining my entire evening.
I'm dreadfully sorry, Mrs. Norton. If you should change your mind, you may call on me tomorrow at the New York World. With your donation, which I'm sure will be a generous one, just ask for Nellie Bly. Ladies and young girls strolling through Central Park of late are being subjected to all sorts of annoyances from idle, pleasure-loving men who have no better way to spend their time. One particularly offensive masher appears only on Wednesdays. So tomorrow I shall don my prettiest frock and station myself beside the lily pond.
Lovely day, isn't it?
Oh, yes, sir. Lovely.
Those slime and the boys playing over there, are they yours?
Mine? Oh, no, sir.
Oh, just taking the air alone, huh?
Well, I try to get as much sun as I can. It's so dreadfully damp in my basement room.
Oh, what a pity. You mustn't neglect your health like this. I say, how about a spin with me? I'll put the top diamond down and we'll get plenty of sun.
Oh, really, sir? I don't think
Oh,
that...
now, not another word. Here we go. Upsy daisy.
Oh.
Now, how's this? All cozy and comfy?
Oh, where am I? Where is this?
Sort of a private club, my dear. Now, suppose we think about a little supper. Shall it be oysters, Rockefeller, and champagne?
Oh, no, I don't think I should eat anything. I must go home. Grandmama will worry.
Oh, but you can't go away like this.
Oh, please. Please, I must. Where's my cloak?
Not so fast, my little flirt.
Oh!
I'll still get a kiss out of this.
Oh, sir, let me go. I'll scream.
You can't play with a man like this, you know, you little demon. Come here now. Come here. What is your name, my dear?
Well, if you'd like to know my name, look in tomorrow's issue of the New York World.
New York World? You're not.
Nellie Bly, sir, at your service. And I took care to find out your name, too, from the waiter, Mr. J. Wellington Potter.
Why, you little vixen.
Have a care, sir. I shall print every word.
All right, Miss Bly, you're very clever. I can appreciate a joke as well as the next one, but let's be sensible. I'm a prominent man, and I'm hoping to marry a fine, innocent girl.
But that doesn't prevent you from pursuing other innocent girls, blackening their young hearts and blackening their reputation. Oh, for shame! You deserve no pity, and you shall have none from me. Buy the World tomorrow and read the truth about yourself, you monster in man's clothing. Good evening, Mr. Potter. Oh, John, the city's as dead as a mummy. People aren't doing anything they shouldn't. There's nothing left to expose.
Oh, Miss Nellie.
Oh, I'm just tired of it all. This horrible office and the smell of it. It's just...
Miss Nellie, I knew you'd come to feel that in time. A newspaper office is no place for a lovely woman like you. I say, let's forget about it for a night. My aunt has a box at the opera and Patty is singing.
Oh, no thank you, Mr. Dale. I really don't care for the opera. I'll have supper sent up to my room and read myself to sleep. I'd like to borrow one of your new books, if I may.
Yes, of course. What?
Sir Hall Caine, Mrs. Humphrey Ward, Jules Verne, Around the World in 80 Days. Around the World in... Oh! Around the World! Around the World!
Oh, no.
Oh, why not?
Oh, no, Miss Nellie, you can't.
Can't? Why, Mr. Dale, I'll wager I can make it in less than days.
But all alone, those savage countries, Miss Nellie, it's dangerous.
Oh, nonsense, Mr. Dale. I've always maintained that a woman can go anywhere and do anything with perfect safety as long as she behaves in a ladylike manner.
Nellie was a lady in so many ways, and she traveled round the world in less than 80 days.
You are listening to Agnes Moorehead as Nellie Bly in Nellie Was a Lady on the Cavalcade of America, sponsored by the DuPont Company, maker of better things for better living through chemistry.
Nellie Bly, bring the room along. We'll sweep the kitchen clean right here and have a little song.
Nellie Bly, the famous girl reporter of the New York World, has become the most talked of woman in her profession. She's ripped the whole city to pieces and put it together again. And now she looks to broader fields. The whole world, in fact. Nellie is in a dither as the day of her globe-spanning, time-defying journey is at hand.
Now, Mr. Dale, John, Mr. Phillips has assigned you to cover my trip around the world. I shall cable you whenever and wherever it's possible.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Dale, you must say that I wish to travel unencumbered by heavy luggage. I am taking 2 light satchels, 2 satchels, and 2 traveling costumes. A blue plaid and a tropical ensemble of camel's hair cloth. My plaid ulster, a light waterproof for downpours, a toothbrush, a bank book, and a pair of easy-fitting shoes. You may point out that I have had only 4 days to get ready.
You'll undergo hardships, privations, grave dangers.
Ooh, Mr. Dale, I shan't touch on any but civilized countries. I dare say there'll always be a cup of tea and a hot water bottle.
Miss Nellie, at least you must tell me one thing now. May I dare have any hope?
Hope, Mr. Dale?
Yes. Hope that one day you will give me the inexpressible happiness of becoming my wife. Surely you must feel there is something beyond all this.
Oh, Mr. Dale, John, I wouldn't be a true woman if I hadn't dreamed sometimes of a husband and a home. All the lonely hours I've spent in my little room after the day's work is done.
Miss Bly, time, Miss Bly.
Oh, I must hurry.
Miss Bly, Nellie, just one more word.
But I
You
really
must promise during your trip to think about what I said and give it your consideration.
Oh, yes,
Miss
but I
Bly, the mayor is here.
Oh, the mayor! Oh, I really must hurry.
And you'll give me your answer on your return.
Yes, now, goodbye, John. But promise me one thing, John.
Yes, anything, my darling, anything.
If you really love me, be sure that I get a good press. Dear friends, goodbye! Today I begin my race with Father Time. In my hand I held a 24-hour watch so that at each moment I may know the time in New York City and count the hours until I return to you. So, goodbye!
November 14th, 1889, as Nellie Bly leaves on her trip around the world, she begins what is to be one of the most highly publicized journeys since Hannibal crossed the Alps and General Sheridan marched through Georgia.
My cable to the New York World, London, England. I've always heard that London was very foggy. It is. That the English people drink a great deal of tea. They do. That the complexion of the women is beautiful and the men are very well dressed. They are.
Today, Miss Bly will pause in her headlong race with Father Time to pay a visit to Jules Verne, famed author of Around the World in 80 Days.
Oh, it is foolishness here. Why must you, a young woman, go around the world faster than my fictional character, Phileas Fogg, an old man who never lived?
Because my paper wishes to show how fast one can go around the world. Don't you see?
Oh, no, mademoiselle, I do not. Americans, they are foolish. Women are foolish. Why are you not at home, raising a family around the world in 80 days? That is nonsense.
Following my inspirational meeting with Monsieur Verne, I rejoined the ship to go on to Brindisi. Lovely, lovely Italy. It is engraved in my heart forever. I bitterly regret that I can only stay for 2 hours and 20 minutes, but I must hurry on.
Nellie Bly on the fly. It is November 25th, and Nellie Bly is on the 11th day of her trip, 1 day behind schedule. From Maine to Mexico, from Louisiana to Liverpool, men, women, and children are charting her course on maps, hanging on her every move, sending up prayers for her safety.
November 27th, I've reached port side on the Suez, the wickedest city in the world, where one's life is worth less than a straw in the wind.
December 18th, 34 days out of New York, Nellie Bly has traveled to Singapore, and the whole world travels with her. Will she make it? Will she break the record, or will she not? Families are divided. Men argue in the streets, and in the southern states it is said that several duels have been fought.
Christmas Day, but for me, no holly, no Christmas pudding. Far on the other side of the globe, in fabled China, I eat my Christmas dinner alone in the Temple of the Dead.
Nellie Bly, 2 days behind schedule. The New York World disclaims any financial responsibility for any bets, pools, wagers connected with Miss Bly's trip for the time of her arrival.
I'm on the last hitch of my race with time. Soon, I'll come to the end. I have one morning and part of an afternoon for a tour in Japan, then across the broad Pacific.
At San Francisco, a train is waiting to speed Miss Bly across the country. Cheering crowds gather at every station. Nellie responds with queenly courtesy.
Thank you, but I must hurry on! Thank you! It's so good to be home, but I must hurry on to the office of the New York World.
Father Time outdone by Nellie Bly.
Hello!
Oh, Nellie, Miss Bly, oh dear, my deadline.
Oh, yes.
On January 25th, Miss Bly steps off her train at Jersey City.
I'll do it again
Nellie,
sometime. Paris,
she has traveled
London,
24,839 miles in 72 days, 6 hours and 11 minutes. Please, Nellie, just a word. Nellie Bly has beaten Phineas Fogg's fabled record by almost 8 days.
Oh,
Copy, boy!
I'm so very, very tired.
Nellie Bly.
Oh, Mr. Dale. John.
Nellie, may I be so bold as to inquire, what are your plans now?
Oh, rest, Mr. Dale. I'm so tired. If you'll call on me perhaps a week from Tuesday night.
I must speak to you now, Miss Bly.
Yes, I know. You want your answer. Mr. Dale, this is very difficult for me, but I must tell you...
One moment, Miss Bly. In spite of my great regard for you, I am convinced that any more intimate association between us would be a mistake.
What?
I'm a simple man, and my only desire is for a simple life with a home and children. Miss Bly, I've followed your progress for these past weeks, and I cannot believe you could ever be content to share such a home as I can offer. If I'm wrong, pray forgive me.
Oh, you're far from wrong, Mr. Dale. I too had arrived at precisely that conclusion, and I was about to tell you so. It would have been more the part of a gentleman, I think, to let the words come from me.
I'm most heartily sorry, Miss Bly. It's only that...
No doubt. You are right. I've had little time to think about myself. The whole world reads about my trip, but what befalls Nellie Bly herself is of no consequence. No importance at all. No one cares.
Oh, Miss Bly. Nellie. Oh, I'm a brute. A beast. I never dreamed you'd feel like this.
Well, Nellie, ready for a little work?
No, Mr. Copper, I must rest for at least a fortnight.
Ah, but there's an assignment for you.
Oh, no, I couldn't really.
You know Jeremiah Harker, the blonde Bluebeard, the confessed murderer of 17 women?
17 women?
Oh, Miss Bly, you mustn't.
He escaped on the way to Sing Sing and has barricaded himself in an old house on the river. Been shooting everyone on sight, but promises to give Nellie Bly an interview.
Ooh, he asked for me, personally?
Miss Bly, Nellie, you can't do such a thing.
Oh, do be quiet, Mr. Dale. Mr. Cockrell, when must I go, if I go?
At once, Miss Bly. The police are going to burn down the house if they can't get him out another way.
Oh, then we must hurry. Oh, but what will I wear? I shall appear older. much older, like a mother. He must have had a mother. Well, come along, Mr. Cockrell, and help me find something to wear. Goodbye, John.
Hi, Nellie, oh, Nellie, listen, love to me. I'll sing for you, play for you a dose of melody.
Agnes Moorhead, heard tonight as Nellie Bly, will return in just a moment for our final episode. Now, here is Gay Whitman.
Many a soldier who owns a house wonders how it's held up while he's away. If the weather has damaged it, if it needs a coat of paint. Not long ago, a soldier in the Pacific area, Private Andrew J. Waldron, wrote home to a friend of his in the office of real estate broker and manager in Boston. He asked his friend, Mr. Fillingrass, to take a look at the Waldron house. So, Mr. Fillingrass, and by the way, this is a true story, took a look at Private Waldron's house and then sat down and wrote him a long, friendly letter about the weather and his own little daughter, Clara Jane, and her piano lessons, and the house. I don't blame you for asking how your house looks, he wrote, as you put a great deal of work into it, including the outside painting. Rest assured, it's just as attractive as ever, and the paint is standing up well. Most houses painted white do not begin to look as good as yours. I think you use DuPont paint. If that's the case, they certainly have a paint that stands up. The reason we happen to hear about this is that Private Waldron was kind enough to take the time to write to the DuPont company and tell us about it. I'm very glad now, he wrote, that I used a good grade of paint when I did that job 4 years ago. Private Waldron's house has stayed gleaming white through 4 New England winters, and thousands of other houses in all parts of America have stayed white through all the years because DuPont outside white is self-cleaning. It is the whitest white that can be made. On the whole, department of the DuPont Company Pigments Department is given over to the continued development and improvement of pigments, which give whiteness and color to paints. The pigment that gives the whiter whites to DuPont paint is titanium dioxide, one of many scientifically compounded DuPont pigments, and the Finishes Division carries on research to develop the best and longest-lasting vehicles for the pigment. We can look forward now to the time when even newer and further improved paints will be on the shelves of your local DuPont dealer. Paints that will be noteworthy examples of DuPont. Better things for better living through chemistry.
And now, here is the star of tonight's DuPont Cavalcade, Agnes Moorhead.
This year we will at last be able to say peace on earth when we send Christmas greetings to our servicemen and women overseas. The Christmas mail will be delivered safely and on time, but only if we cooperate here at home. The official time for mailing overseas Christmas packages is between now and October 15th, preferably by the end of this month. Remember, the time for mailing is from September 15th to October 15th.
These days, we are living in a new era in world history when science seems to take giant leaps into the future. Man is on his way toward conquering many of the terrors of yesterday, including epidemic disease. Next week, Cavalcade will tell the thrilling story of how scientists fought the battle to stay alive. Our star will be Robert Young. Tune in next week for The Battle to Stay Alive, starring Robert Young on the DuPont Cavalcade. Cavalcade programs of particular interest to servicemen and women are broadcast overseas through the worldwide facilities of the Armed Forces Radio Service. Music for tonight's DuPont Cavalcade was composed and conducted by Robert Armbruster. Our Cavalcade play was written by Turner Bullock. This is Tom Collins, inviting you next week to listen to Robert Young in The Battle to Stay Alive on the Cavalcade of America, brought to you by the DuPont Company of Wilmington, Delaware. This is the National Broadcasting Company.
Tonight, the DuPont Company brings you That Powell Girl, starring Peggy Ann Garner, on the Cavalcade of America.
Probably the only parents who do not regard their little children as blessings are the parents of geniuses. A genius in the household is always a great responsibility, and often a great nuisance. That has been said before, and it's true. But after you hear tonight's play, we think you'll agree that a child genius is a blessing too, like all other children. First, here is Game Whitman.
Broken bones, injuries even more severe, are often caused in the home by rugs that slip and slide out from under you. Do you have a small rug at the head of a dangerous staircase? Do you have a bath mat beside the tub in the bathroom? For safety's sake, make rugs stay where they belong with DuPont Rug Anchor, the sponge rubber underlay designed to make rugs stay put. No matter how slippery the floor, Rug Anchor clings, dustproof, waterproof, vermin-proof. Rug Anchor is one of the DuPont Company. Better things for better living through chemistry. Tonight we present Peggy Ann Garner as Maud Powell on the DuPont Cavalcade of America.
To American children, summer means vacation, play, no school. It means that today, and it meant the same in 1876, which is when our story opens. It's a warm July afternoon. All the children in Aurora, Illinois are at play. All that is, except one little girl.
Maud, darling. Haven't you practiced enough? You've been up there all afternoon.
Oh, Mother, my hands just won't do what I tell them.
Well, let it go for now, dear, and don't worry about it.
Mother, my hands aren't made for the piano.
Oh, darling, when I was your age, I didn't play a note.
But I want to, Ma'am.
Oh, it'll come. Don't try to rush it. Why, you already play better than any other little girl in town.
And I can play better than any other boy, too.
Yes, dear. Now, how about a glass of milk?
Mother,
What, dear?
the concert last night.
Yes?
I never heard a violin play alone like that.
It was very nice, wasn't it?
I've been thinking about it. My hands are too little for the piano, but they wouldn't be for a violin. Oh, I know I could play one.
Now, Maud, one thing at a time. The piano first.
Mother, please get me a violin.
Maud, when I was your age, I had dreams of becoming all sorts of things. An actress, and then for a while, I wanted to be a lady fireman and wear red bloomers. But never a violin.
Oh,
Little girls don't play the violin. You just learn a little singing and a little sewing and then forget about the violin.
don't you think I could learn to play one?
It's a very difficult instrument.
Mother, sit here, please. I want to show you something. Now sit at the piano and I'll turn my back so I can't see the keys. Ready?
Well, I don't know what for, but I guess I'm ready.
Play a note, any old note, just play it. E flat, hit another.
Why, that's right.
Of course it's right. Hit another. G sharp, and it's a little out of tune. C A F.
Perfect pitch. You have perfect pitch, Maud Powell.
Mm-hmm. Miss Ingersoll told me on Monday. She said violinists have to have perfect pitch. Oh, now can I learn to play the violin?
Maud, what good would it do? Where would you ever get to play the violin?
Everywhere, because I'm going to be a great musician like Mr. Sauret and play in concerts. Just me alone with my violin.
Dear, Mr. Sauret is a man. You're a girl. Girls don't become professional musicians.
In Europe they do.
Now that's enough, Maud. You are not in Europe. You're a girl in Aurora, Illinois, and you're not going to...
Oh, those two things have ruined my whole life. That's what they've done. I hate being a girl, and I hate being an American.
Maud.
Minnie, she's not sick, is she?
Oh, no, she's not sick. Oh, come over here for a minute, Bill.
Hmm?
You can hear it from under her window.
Hear it? Hear what? What is all this? Oh,
Listen.
what's happening to her? Why is she making that noise? Has she got asthma?
It's a violin. A toy violin.
Toy? Well, why didn't you stop her? It's after midnight.
You don't understand.
Well, evidently not.
She wants to learn the violin. She probably bought that toy. She's been in her room since 8 o'clock doing that. Over and over.
Well.
Oh, Bill, she looks so bad and misses her meals.
Well, we'll put a stop to that. Come on, Minnie.
No, I could have done that. But I waited until you got home, Bill.
Why? It's past her bedtime.
Bill, taking that violin away from her won't help. We've got to let her take violin lessons on a good instrument. If we don't, well, this will go on and on.
Well, I guess you're right, my dear. Well, what do we do about it?
I'm going to Chicago tomorrow, Bill, and find some violin teacher who will take Maud as a student.
Oh.
Who's down there?
It's us, Maud, Mother and Dad.
Oh, you've been listening?
Yes, we've been listening, Maud.
I guess I'm not very good yet, am I?
Well, I've heard better, but tell her, Minnie, maybe she'll go to bed and get some sleep.
All right. Maud, dear, we're going to find a violin teacher in Chicago for you.
Oh!
Oh, here, don't jump out the window, Maud.
Oh, do you really mean it?
Yes, darling.
Then I can show everyone. I'll show them how I can play. And Daddy, if I get real good, would you let me change my name to Powell?
Fine.
Thank you, Mr. Hyndman.
Mrs. Powell, when Mr. Lewis called me here today, I expected something or other, but what? This little girl.
You liked her then?
When Heinemann the critic says yes, he likes it.
I knew it.
Her technique is nearly perfect.
And I have perfect pitch, Mr. Hyndman.
Perfect pitch? That is nothing.
Nothing?
Many people have it, but many people do not have what you. Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
How long did she work on this Bach Preludio?
About a month. It's a graduation exercise. And next week she's to play the Mendelssohn Concerto with a concert with the Orchestra Society in her hometown. Her first public appearance.
Only a month? You ought to be congratulated, Mr. Lewis.
I wish I deserved the compliment, Mr. Hyndman, but, well, she's a natural musician.
Yeah, you saw it too.
Yes, I've seen it. After only 1 year, there's nothing more she can learn from me.
Oh, I see. Fräulein Powell.
Yes, sir?
Give me your hand. Also, little Fräulein, I'm going to say something to you that I would hesitate to say to almost anyone, but you are a genius.
Oh, Maud.
I'd hoped you'd say that, Mr. Hyndman.
Now she will go on with her studies, yes?
Oh, yes. Mr. Lewis, we can go on, can't we?
Maud, not with me. I can't teach you any more. Mrs. Powell, I couldn't take your money. In the year she's been with me, she's outstripped the teacher.
You're a very honest man.
Well, it's true. I am a teacher of polite music to schoolgirls, not a master of young geniuses. Well, she feels more music than I could ever learn.
Mr. Lewis, is it well because I'm a girl?
Oh, no, my dear. It certainly isn't. Because I don't know enough. I don't think there's anyone in America equipped to teach you.
Well, if Mr. Lewis won't teach me any longer, and well, he's the best in Chicago, then...
Yeah, if you are a European Fräulein and a boy, you can be sent to the Hochschule in Leipzig, Germany.
If I were a boy?
Well, can't she go anyway? I mean...
They only take boys.
Oh, Maud, baby, I'm so sorry.
You mean I can't go on with my lessons?
Maud, you can can go on playing for yourself, for your mother and father. Well, it isn't as though you have to put the violin aside forever.
It is criminal. To waste a talent like this, once in a million lifetimes it comes.
And then it comes to me, a girl in Aurora, Illinois, instead of some boy in Berlin or Paris or Rome. Well, I wish it had. That's what I wish. I wish it had gone to some old boy.
Aw, baby.
It's all right, Mother. It's not your fault. Mr. Hyman, I'd like to thank you for coming up here and listening to us.
Us? Who is us?
Patsy, that's my violin and me.
She's a girl, too. You'll be able to keep Patsy, dear. She's yours.
No, I want Mr. Lewis to have her after my concert next week. At least she should be able to go on playing. And I'll be a good girl, Mother. I'll learn my singing and my sewing, and after a while, I'll get myself a husband. But I won't like him, whoever he is. I won't like him at all, old things.
What things is this you don't like?
Men, old things.
Yes, we are old things. It's a man's world, all right.
Maud, as your teacher, believe me, we'd, any of us, give our right arms if things could be different.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes, Maud?
When I said that about men, I didn't mean you or Mr. Hyman or Daddy. You know that.
Yes, Maud, I understand.
Well then, is it all right for me to kiss you goodbye?
You'd better.
Even if I am a genius?
Even if you're a genius. Goodbye, Maud. Bless you.
Are you ready, Mommy?
Yes, dear.
I'll send Patsy up to you, Mr. Lewis, after she and I have made our first public appearance together. Our first and our last.
And so, Maud Powell met her first setback when she realized that further study in America was impossible for her, and that being a girl had limited her possibilities of studying in Europe. But she gave her first public performance in her hometown of Aurora, Illinois, to an audience that overflowed the seating capacity, and one that sat enthralled while she played.
chance to speak. All right, Maud.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. I'm so glad you liked it, and I'd like to thank all the gentlemen in the orchestra for accompanying me. I hope they didn't feel silly accompanying a girl. It was nice of you to listen to me because, well, as you might have heard, this is the last time I'll get to play. The last time I'll really get to play the violin. Thank you and goodbye.
Good night, Maud Powell, and thank you.
Oh, Mother, I'm sorry. Come on, let's go home.
All right, dear.
Folks, let's give the Powell family a great big hand as they go out. Good night, Minnie Mill and Maud Powell. Good night, and thanks. Well, now, folks, before we break up, I've got a couple of words to say. As mayor of this town, I'm awful proud of that little girl, and I guess you are too. Now, it seems to me a crying shame that she can't go on with this study. Now, I sat down yesterday and wrote a letter. Maybe it'll do no good at all, but at least it's a try. It's a letter from the mayor and people of Aurora, Illinois to His Excellency, the mayor of Leipzig, Germany. And it asks if maybe he couldn't, just this once, make an exception and take a female student in their Hochschule, or whatever they call it. Kind of as a bit of international goodwill. Now, What do you think of that idea? All right, I'll send the letter. But don't anyone tell the Powell family. Don't want to get their hopes up, because the reply may be bad. But it's a chance. It's a fighting chance. And we're trying by glory.
You are listening to Peggy Ann Garner as Maud Powell in That Powell Girl on the Cavalcade of America, sponsored by the DuPont Company, maker of better things for better living through chemistry. Today, when you pick up a concert program and see a woman as soloist, you take it pretty much for granted. But it took a spunky little girl named Maud Powell, a girl with the same courageous spirit American women have always displayed, to really convince the world that women should be accepted as equals in the concert and music world. Maud made her first, and she thought her last, public appearance as a concert violinist in Aurora, Illinois. But the people of the town determined that Maud should play for the world. A collection realized enough money to send her to the Hochschule in Leipzig. But there, she faced competition where a girl had never stood before. That is the last contestant. But didn't they tell me there was to be an Americanisches girl?
Yeah, there is, but she must have dressed as a boy. What are those young boys? It's a girl.
Right, it might be number 3.
Oh, not at all. Not number 4.
If we knew the names, we could tell.
Yeah, that is precisely why we give them numbers. Now, gentlemen, let us vote for the best of the lot, for the top winner.
Number 6, naturally.
Yes, 6 by all means.
Also, will contestant number 6 step forward, please? So you are contestant number 6. And it gives me great pleasure, young man, to inform you that you are the winner. What is your name, sir?
Ann Powell, sir.
Ann Powell?
She's a girl.
Was soll man jetzt tun? Wir haben die Mord in der Balken gehalten. Denn kann sie wir können sie annehmen, denken Sie?
Na, natürlich. Und ein großes Talent.
Fräulein M. Powell, you have broken a tradition of the Leipzig Hochschule that is almost 300 years old. We now have a girl student.
Thank you, sir. I hope you will...
Yeah? What are you going to say?
I was going to say, I hope you won't regret taking me in, but you won't. I swear you won't. Wait till you'll see how hard I'll work.
Yes, little girl, you will work very hard. This is not a tea party here. It taxes the strength of boys. As for girls, perhaps you won't be able to stand it. Now then, Fräulein Powell, if you can stay awake long enough, will you please define a concerto?
A concerto is a musical composition for a solo instrument.
Maud, darling, I don't think you weigh 70 pounds these days. You can't keep it up, Maud. You'll get sick.
Oh, no, I won't, Mother. That's what some of them want, but I won't get sick. And I'll play the concert next week in Berlin. You wait and see.
Meine Damen und Herren, das Berliner Inneprician ist stolz, die ardenten Stahlstudenten der Leipziger Hochschule vorzustellen, Fräulein Maud Powell.
Mother, that coffee smells good. Couldn't I have some Cambridge coffee, please?
Eat your breakfast, dear. You may be the toast of Berlin, but you're still not old enough for coffee.
All right. Any mail that's interesting?
I'm just looking. There's nothing from home. I do wish your papa would write more often, and
What is it, Mother? What's the matter?
Well, here's one that says it's from Buckingham Palace in England. Have you any friends at court, dear? What is it? Her Majesty the Queen requests the honor. Maudie, a command performance! You're to play before Queen Victoria in Buckingham Palace.
Yes, Your Majesty.
You curtsy very nicely, Miss Powell.
Thank you, Your Majesty.
Come up here, child.
Yes, Your Majesty.
Miss Powell, the reports we had of you did not do you justice. You're even more brilliant a musician than we'd heard.
Thank you, Your Majesty.
Miss Powell, a moment ago I whispered something to your American ambassador. I told him that you, Miss Powell, are like him, an ambassador too. You've served notice on the world that America is growing up. Now she sends us not just red Indians and Wild West shows, but a beautiful, civilized talent.
You're very kind, Your Majesty, and on behalf of...
Yes, what were you going to say?
I forgot. I guess I said it. Thank you.
Now, child, the orchestra is going to play our national anthem. Do you know it?
Yes, Your Majesty.
I believe you have different words in your country. Isn't that true?
Yes, Your Majesty. We call it America.
Come, stand beside me, my dear. I want you to sing it for us. With your words.
I couldn't sing it, Your Majesty.
No? Why not?
Excuse me, Your Majesty, but, well, I just don't like to sing.
No? All well-brought-up girls should know how to sing.
Yes, sing a little, sew a little.
Oh, you're ashamed of being a girl, is that it?
No, Your Majesty, I just wish I
were. What's the
weren't.
matter with a girl? Do you think a king would rule England better than I do?
Oh, no, Your Majesty, I didn't mean
Miss
that.
Powell, I'm a woman, and I rule an empire. You said yourself no man could do it better.
Yes, Your Majesty, but, well, you were born to be a queen.
And you were born to be an American. They've told me that all women are queens in America. And so you, Miss Powell, you are a symbol of your country's nobility. And spirit, too, if I may say so, my child.
I've never thought about it that way.
Then do, my child. Music, please.
My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing.
Sing out, my girl. Sing for your country.
violinist in the world. This great American genius might have been just a village music teacher, had it not been for the community spirit of her fellow townsmen who financed her studies. That spirit is typical of America, and a peculiar thing it is that a nation so vast can seem so comfortably small when you need a good neighbor. That is America, though, a community where we guard the precious welfare of all our citizens. Now, here is Gane Whitman speaking for DuPont.
During the holiday season every year, you're asked in one way or another, by a friend, by mail, or perhaps over the radio, to buy colorful Christmas seals at the National Tuberculosis Association. What a fine tribute it is to American generosity that all of us have been glad to buy these seals for 40 years. And what splendid results our generosity has brought. Money from Christmas seals has helped to support the men and women of science who are now carrying the long fight against tuberculosis successfully to the last round. In the grim battle against disease, which has rescued us from one dread killer after another, science never rests. Tuberculosis is no longer the great white plague as it was once called, because men and women of the medical profession and their allies in science have attacked the dread TB on half a dozen battlefronts. One weapon they use is the fluorescent screen, which glows under the action of X-rays, enabling doctors to see a shadow image of the interior of the human body and photograph what they see. The roll call of scientists who have worked to perfect fluorescent screens is a lengthy one. William Röntgen made the first one half a century ago. Thomas Edison worked long hours in his laboratory to find a better material with which to coat them. Carl Patterson, a young chemist experimenting in a home laboratory, developed a new and brighter fluorescent material containing cadmium tungstate. Slowly through the years, fluorescent X-ray screens have been developed to a point where, by their aid, radiographs or X-ray pictures may be made of the chest in a fraction of a second. So the Röntgenologist may visually study without the slightest distress to the patient the functioning of the living lung. Fluorescent X-ray screens are dramatically doing their part to preserve human life. We, the DuPont Company, are grateful that American business enterprise work hand in hand with science to bring those screens to their present high state of development. Those most widely accepted by the profession are made by the Patterson Screen Division of the DuPont Company, as DuPont, better things for better living through chemistry.
Next week, in commemoration of Christmas, the DuPont Cavalcade brings you a specially prepared Christmas program. Instead of a Christmas story, you will hear an entire program of some of the best-loved Christmas carols of all times, sung by the DuPont Company Chorus. The DuPont Company Chorus is composed of 177 employees of the DuPont Company and is under the direction of Daniel W. Boyer. Among some of the songs you will hear, the gay Deck the Halls, which is loved and sung in the British Isles. The warm and tender carol, Jesu Bambino. And by popular request, the chorus concludes the program with the beloved favorite, Silent Night. Be sure to listen next Monday at the same time, when the DuPont Company Chorus will bring you a special program of Christmas carols on the Cavalcade of America. Music for tonight's DuPont Cavalcade was composed and conducted by Robert Armbruster. The violin solos were played by David Frizina, concertmaster with the Los Angeles Philharmonic Orchestra. Peggy Ann Garner may soon be seen in the 20th Century Fox Technicolor picture, Bob, Son of Bagger. Our cavalcade play was written by Luther Davis. In the cast with Peggy Ann Garner tonight were Helen Bennett as the mother, William Johnstone as the father, Herb Butterfield as Hindman, Tom Collins as Lewis, and Gloria Gordon as Queen Victoria. This is John Easton inviting you to listen next week to a program of Christmas carols sung by the DuPont Company Chorus on the Cavalcade of America, brought to you by the DuPont Company of Wilmington, Delaware. Coming to you from Hollywood, this is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.
Thank you very much for coming to enjoy our show, and once again, we really appreciate you being here and helping our show to come alive. And so now, hopefully after this, all of you, and especially any young women out there, any next time somebody tells you that you can't, better believe you can. We've got proof to show it. But we've got a whole brand new season. We are kicking well into our 15th season of doing these shows here at the Oak Park Gardens. We've got some great ideas and plans for our upcoming year, and our next show will be on Sunday, October 28th, correct?
Yes, sir.
October 28th, so it's bound to be a spooky Halloween show right here at the Oak Park Gardens at 2 o'clock. But before that, we must introduce the cast of those thrilling days of yesteryear, Mr. Dave Amato, John Corona, John O'Brien, Pam Turbo, Mark Hutchison, Mark Timpa, Hannah Lewinsky, Amy Brockman, Wayne Royal, and also special musical magnificent magic for Karen Dennis on piano, and Brock Royal on violin. And of course, and also I am the director, Ben Dooley. We'd like to thank you, the audience, for helping our show come alive, and for once again, for living those thrilling days of yesteryear so that we could bring them back to you. Thank you. Thank you all so much. We have juice and cookies and coffee and water and treats, so you're all welcome to step out there into the lounge and enjoy conversations and meeting new people and enjoying the juice and cookies. We'll see you back on October 28th. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Turn this off.